Hi, it's Andy from Coffee and Time. I'm about to go into a local little wood for a small little walk. It's called Star Woods, and it's extremely close to where I live, which is quite convenient if you just want to go for a small walk instead of gearing up for a full-on hike. It's community owned, and that comes with some restrictions. Obviously, you're not able to fully roam free over the whole wood. You stick to the paths, can't go into the river, and things that possibly we used to do, like make camps and things like that. That's all frowned on now. Quite simply, I suppose, the emphasis is on trying to preserve wildlife and preserve it as it is. But yes, it's still charming and has a nice little feel about it. So I'll take you along and show you what's here. Right, I'm just heading up now off the road into a little path which you wouldn't know was here if you weren't local. You would end up down in the main car park. Just heard some shotguns, so somebody's off shooting. I'm not sure if it's pheasant season, but who knows. But anyway, I'm making my way through this path now, and we'll take you further into the woods. This beech tree, the leaves are gone like a real golden brown, and they're about ready to drop. It's done for the year, this tree is, with its leaves. The same with, shall we say, the hazel. They're beginning to go now. The holly is looking as vibrant as ever, but that's an evergreen, so that'll stick with us all year. And if we look up here, those, shall we say, small trees or saplings, shall we say, they're sycamores, and they've actually lost their leaves totally. They were among the first ones to go this year. Walking along this path, we're coming up to a gate which takes you into the wood proper. This style of gate in the UK, or England shall I say, is called a kissing gate. I don't know where the full origins of that comes from, but it's probably due to the fact you have to walk through by opening the gate and then pulling it open to pass through the opposite side. Thereby you would be getting in close proximity to the person behind. But yeah, this setup of a gate is called a kissing gate. Anyway, I'm going to make my way through. Now, I'm just moving my way up through the woods, but I'm going to take you to a little curiosity here. So as you can see, I'm diverting off the path. Right, as you can see, I've just walked into this little clearing which has took me to what you could be mistaken to think is a cave. It is actually a mine shaft. I'm in Cornwall, and mine shafts are just a feature of the landscape here. You can't gain access because not only is it flooded out, there's probably, shall we say, no safe access anyway, and I have to stress, do not attempt it, that it's dangerous. These mine shafts, shall we say, were last worked so long ago that you would be foolhardy to even attempt it. But it is a feature here, and as you can see, we've got some, shall we say, of a rock slide here that's come down. This is a substantial piece of rock. Yeah, but it does make you think of the legends from, well, a long time ago in Cornwall, with the creatures that used to inhabit the mines alongside the miners when they worked. But yeah, very ominous feature on the landscape here. This boundary hedge has seen some substantial digging by rabbits. When it gets to this stage, it's always in danger of collapsing hedges and doing damage to the hedgerows. But yeah, that tree's been undermined by the rabbits digging, so this one could yet succumb just to the humble rabbit. I've just made my way up to the top of that hill, which was a nice little gentle incline, nothing serious. And now I'm making my way down to what will be a river and a bridge crossing. Yeah, it's really nice to be out. I can see evidence that they're managing the banks and all the scrub that's left over. Like I said, this woodland is managed, so you know, you can't escape well, coming across evidence of man in here. Looking at that tree trunk, you can see it was strangled when it was a young sapling by a vine or honeysuckle, and there's still a little bit of a twist there in the bulge where the, well, shall I say, honeysuckle was wrapped around it and strangled it. It has escaped it and it has made its way up through to the canopy, but yeah, it was strangled at some point in its life. These little orange dots on trees might seem a curiosity, but I should surmise they've been identified to be felled either for safety or disease. But yeah, that one looks like it won't be here for much longer. This woodland is predominantly hazel, beech, a small smattering of oak trees and some birch. The birch looks like it's been planted, and it's comes in the silver variety you get, and on top of that there is the real like blood red type of birch as well. I'm not sure if they're just one of the same species but just got a variant in colour, or whether they are subspecies on their own. I'll have to look that up. There is quite a few, and they really are quite tall. Shall we say spruce trees or pine trees. I'm not sure what varieties these are. Yet again, I'll have to do my research on that. But they really are tall. I'm not sure if they are commercial ones as well. But they're obviously not for commercial purposes anymore, and they really are rocketing to the sky. There's been a landslide here, or should we say a tree blowover, and it's actually taken a substantial piece of ground with it. But the curiosity is, we still have species of tree growing from this root system. We have this pine tree that's going up, and on top of that we have a beech tree which is coming from that same ball. They are interconnected, and then you've got an old stump just coming along there. So it really does show you how the forest can, well, make the best of a bad situation, as they say. The ground here is littered with these pine cones. They're pretty rotted now because obviously they've been sat on the ground for a long time. But yeah, there's evidence of them all over this incline, which will make walking down this slope a little bit interesting. We've got evidence from Storm Irwin that passed by, shall we say, yesterday, and yeah, there are parts of trees that have come down on the path. As you can see, this has obviously come down from this aforementioned tree there, and that goes to show why you need to have your eyes and wits about you in the woods when there's high winds, because basically something like this coming down on you, and I'll give you an indication of size, it's not going to do you a lot of good. That's why you're always advised to stay out of woods during high winds. And now I've got to try and get past this. I've just put my hand on that branch so you can gauge what the size of it that's come down. Yeah, that seriously would potentially kill you. So when there's high winds, always be well aware what's happening around you, and probably best not to be in woods when it's you know, really high winds. This gully indicates part of its industrial use, this land, before it became a wood and then subsequently was a, well, as it is now, a community wood. I believe this was a water channel that used to supply water to pumps and mills, and yeah, it's still evident here, and it's being lost to the forest now, but it's still a reminder that this was an industrial wood, or should we say industrial landscape at one point. You can clearly see where it goes off in the opposite direction of that bit of a excavation I just showed you, and this is heading back off towards well, almost towards the direction of that mine shaft that I just showed you. Ferns really love this type of damp, shall we say, light deprived environment in these type of woods, and there is a real big flourishing population of them here. We've made our way down to the river now. There's not too much water considering we've had rain. I expected it to be a lot higher, but yeah, in years gone by we could take little dinghies and swim around and play around in here, but that's frowned upon now. But there are reasons. They do state otters are back here, which is obviously good, and I'm guessing they don't want, shall we say, to scare them off. So I suppose there's a plus side to not being allowed to go in the water anymore. And as if by magic, come round the corner of a tree, there's a sign telling you about the woods and everything you need to know or obey, or anything you need to do to have a enjoyable time in these woods. But yeah, things are changing now, community woods and things like that. The only benefit I can say by that is you still retain some access, whereas if this wood was bought by a private individual, I'm guessing well, it would be restricted access and you wouldn't be have the enjoyment you can get from being in the woods. So you have to trade something off, and I guess that's part of the trade-off. But just in case you did actually fall in the water, obviously there is the life buoy or preserver to rescue anybody that may need that help. My kids absolutely love this bridge. They think it's fantastic, and I think they could probably spend hours just walking across it backwards and forwards. It was closed at one point as a tree came down on it. Thankfully there's no tree down at the minute, so I can gain access to the other side of the riverbank. Right, I'm making my way across. I will have to keep one hand free because when the wood is wet, because we're in a woodland, it can get slimy and slippery. As you can see, things are all pretty bouncy and wobbly, but hey, I'm making my way across. That's your view upstream, but I'm still bouncing with the bridge. And your view downstream. Right, I'm going to continue along the rest of the bridge. You might get seasick as I keep bouncing around. I don't think there's going to be any value filming this. I better just sort of like make my way across pretty quick and get to the firm part of the structure. Right, there we are. We're back over now. This part of the path is closed for tree felling. Basically there's ash dieback here, and the tree will die from the crown downwards. It becomes dangerous for walkers, and on top of that, if you cut the tree down, you can try to stop or help prevent in sort of like making a stopping the bridge of the, shall we say, the dieback moving to other healthy trees. It's kind of a preventative measure, but in any case, our country seems to be in the grip of this dieback disease, and to be honest with you, we've lost a lot of good trees. Some people say that hopefully the ash trees will become, shall we say, not so susceptible to the disease, but only time will tell. But we do not really want to lose that species of tree from the UK. Right, this path now is getting quite boggy and, as we would call down here, a bit like a mire. But yeah, for every foot I'm placing forward, my forward force is being taken away by slipping in the mud. Yeah, walking a dog here, you'd be taking an extremely muddy dog home. Although I can see dog prints in all this, so somebody's obviously not got a brand new car to put their dog in. This looks quite brutal what's actually happened here. As you can see, they've tried to make they've made a kind of semi-barrier by bringing over this piece of, well, it looks like hazel. Now, the thing is, it may look brutal, but what they're trying to do is an ancient system of hedging, and they actually call it laying a hedge. Now what they do is you slice down through, leaving just enough wood to allow sap to go transverse up and down the fibres in the wood and move across to the stick down here, and it will grow up again. I'm now going to take a path heading uphill, and it is quite a steep incline, this incline. If you're able-bodied, it shouldn't pose a problem. I just have to say that because when it's wet, slippery and covered in leaves like this, and it is on gravel, it can be quite slippery. As you can see, and you're going over some rocks and a little bit of mud, and there's a bit of a trench where water has actually made its way down here. So yeah, you have to be a little bit, should we say, mobile to be able to fully appreciate this, or even do this little part of the walk. You can clearly see somehow just coming up that slope. That's quite a drag. If you look across there, you can see the fields. So we started gaining a fair bit of elevation from the river now. But you can clearly see some tree planting's been going on, possibly down through that path. But what's interesting here is the birch trees. There is a lot of birch trees in this particular part of the wood, and if I come through, you can actually see. There you go. A lot of birch trees. But yeah, interestingly, this one here is ringed. That means all the bark is gone right the way around. That's usually either deers have done that, because they do like the bark, but I see a couple other ones have got it as well. Or it could be like a management technique, which that will eventually kill the tree if it's completely all the way around. So whether they're trying to naturally take some trees out to give the other ones light, I don't know, but there is evidence that they've been thinning out here as well. As I come out the top of this path, there is a little area which is used by the volunteers when they manage this forest. Excuse my breathing, I've just marched up pretty fast, and it's a fabulous place to get out of the wind and rain, sit down and have a cup of coffee. And that is just what I'm about to do. So I'm going to have a cup of coffee and enjoy the view for a moment before moving on again. Right, I've made it here like I've just shown you, and I'm just sitting here I've got a cup of coffee. This is by no means unusual for me to have a cup of coffee in here. I use this little shelter when I'm making my way up to the high ground on the moors, and alternatively when I'm making my way back down and hiking back home. I quite often use this as a waypoint. Like you say, to stop off, sort my admin out, have a cup of coffee, get my life in order, catch my breath, and then go on again. So yeah, I do enjoy sitting in here. You know, you can catch your thoughts, think about the world, and think about everything that is going on in your life as well. Alternatively, my kids actually like coming here. They think this is some sort of like little cabin in the woods. They're only small kids, so obviously it's in a child's eye of imagination and fantasy, but we play along with it, and we'll bring, you know, I know, a pack of crisps and a can of Coke, sit here and let them run about and feel that they're in like a little enchanted forest and a little cabin type structure for them. But yeah, the reality is though, it's just basically a shed that's been put here for the volunteers to conduct their work in this woodland. And I fully commend them. And if I had more time, I think I would be very inclined to join in this scheme. But ultimately, we've all got our constraints on our time. So I obviously can't participate in that at this stage in my life. Well, I'm beginning to lose light. I've pretty much drunk all my coffee. I'm doing the last drags out my cup. Then I'm going to move. I'm losing light. The birds are quite vocal at the minute, and that's what usually happens in a woodland, or shall we say a deciduous woodland. Before light totally goes, a lot of the bird and wildlife will be that last ditched effort with activity and noise before the light peters out, and then you start moving into that quieter period before it goes dark. So yeah, I'm just about myself, like along with the birds and that, ready to move and make some last ditched effort to get through this woodland. I don't want to be in the mud, slipping and sliding in the dark. So yeah, I'm just going to finish this up, and I'll see if I can get any more footage on my way out of this wood. That's a pretty impressive skyline there against those dark grey clouds. That tree looks pretty imposing. I should imagine it's struggling to keep a foothold here, particularly in the storms that have just gone by, like Irwin. It's got a few, shall we say, fallow trees there, but by and large it's the smaller deciduous ones that seem to be clinging to this hillside. But I'm going to make my way down this path. As you can see, it is getting dark. And this old structure here, I think, has seen better days, and that's not got a lot of life left in that, I don't think. Although they are using it as a storeroom, there's lots of tree bundles in there. Or tree guards, shall I say. Right, let's continue. This is a slightly older bit of woodland, and you can see that it's not so densely populated with shall I say, saplings and small trees all fighting each other to get to the light. These here trees are pretty much established now, and in the summer months you would see a canopy above us, which would have been shall we say, sheltering light from the floor here, reducing the chances of its competitors as the saplings and smaller trees coming up through. So you get a bigger, shall we say, floor area with no coverage of vegetation. Obviously the ferns seem to thrive here, and as you can see, some small holly trees are pushing and trying to take advantage of the low light conditions. But yeah, it's not so densely populated with small trees. And that is a good indication that it's an older wood, piece of the woodland, than the bit of woodland I just showed you where the birch trees were. There's a thick heavy carpet of leaves at the minute I'm walking on. And yeah, it's I can feel the temperature in the air is actually dropping again now. Obviously we're losing light, but that wind has dropped off, which obviously, like I was just talking about, that storm's just passed, so we could be in for some slightly colder conditions. I'm now making my way just down by the river now, and I'm heading back to the bridge you saw, and I shall be making my way out to the road back up to the car. So I hopefully will have enough light just to capture the community board for the video, but yeah, it's just now starting to get a little bit tricky with all the, shall we say, mud, and trying to keep my footing and watch where I'm standing. This is not unusual for me to be out this time of day in the woods, and I'm not particularly, shall we say, concerned, because like I say, I've been in the woods in total low light conditions and virtually no light, so this is by no means unusual for me, or shall we say anything particularly that I'm concerned about. There's a lot of bird boxes in this wood, and that's just one of them. It's obviously not going to be used this time of year, but obviously if they're left in situ, they become part of the bird's natural habitat, and it's, shall we say, you have a better chance to get the birds to use it if it's left here and it becomes part of their natural world for a longer period of time. You can clearly see that they've been making this boundary here to stop you getting down to the riverbank, where they've been managing the, shall we say, ash trees. It is just part of woodland management, and obviously redirecting this path till such time we can make our way back down to the river path. But yeah, that used to be a nice little walk, but obviously like I say, there's responsibilities to the public now. It's community owned, so you know, years ago we used to walk down there. You can just see the remnants of the path going up through there. We're not too far from it, but I guess it was just nice to walk by the river, but that will come back in time, you know. That's same with everything in life, innit? You just possibly have to be patient, and time will fix everything. Well, it got dark pretty quick, and I made my way home. I'm in the workshop, just put my stuff away, clean my boots off, and I'm going to call it a day. Yeah, thanks for coming along, and I hope you enjoyed it. Just a very small little walk through a Cornish woodland at this time of year, which is winter. So yeah, I hope you all stay safe, and I'm going to sign out here now, and it's Andy from Coffee and Time, and I hope to catch you again.